Welcome back to Lifelong Learners. Last week I talked about change in routines from my own lived experience. This week I am going to talk about how science has failed women and girls on the autism spectrum from my own lived experience. For more information about lifelong learners, you can go to Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and don't forget to go to YouTube and subscribe to my channel at Lifelong Learners Podcast. Sit back and enjoy the show. Holly Tetreault. Autism isn't just diagnosed in boys. Women and girls can get diagnosed with autism as well. I learned at a very young age to mask my autistic traits because society didn't understand back then that girls could have autism as well. Girls present more subtle, socially camouflaged, and internalized behaviors. This can lead to late diagnosis or a misdiagnosis. I found with myself that I was having to internalize many of my autistic traits. As a kid, I experienced a lot of times where I felt tired after having social interactions. Middle school and high school were a struggle for me because there was pressure to fit in, and sometimes I just felt alone. The constant social interactions were exhausting. Autism in girls is so different compared to boys. I grew up having to hide who I was, and it only made things worse. I found it hard to make friends as a kid because people judged me before they got to know me. Science back in the day only looked for autistic traits in boys, and many girls like me were overlooked due to the science only recognizing autism in boys. Now that people are starting to realize girls can have autism as well, the testing that is used to diagnose autism now looks for women and girls who had to hide their behaviors early in life. Compare this to the testing that was done for autism decades ago. Research is only catching on to the fact that more women and girls are still going undiagnosed, misdiagnosed. I am advocating for women and girls to get an early diagnosis of autism so they can get the help and support they need early in life. We need science to look at the whole picture of autism, not just bits and pieces. Everyone deserves to have their voices heard, and having services that match our needs helps us to succeed. Women and girls with autism are just as important as all of the people who have autism. I grew up having to blend in with everyone because autism was only a boy thing. I didn't get diagnosed with autism until age 11. I also found that getting my autism diagnosis later in life created more anxiety for me. Navigating school as a female with autism was hard because I was misunderstood. Autism in girls is a thing, and we need to look for people who are trying to fit in with society. I was underserved growing up, especially in school, because people did not understand why I was sensitive to noise or that I would burn out quicker from doing homework. Science needs to catch up and do more research about women and girls with autism. We shouldn't be leaving anyone behind, and it's time to challenge the theory that autism is only diagnosed in boys. Being a young woman with autism is awesome. I find that I can go after my dreams. I am going to school to help educate others that autism isn't just diagnosed in boys. Girls can have autism as well. I found during my junior year of high school, I couldn't mask my autistic traits anymore. And when I started to unmask them, it caused me a lot of anxiety. Schools should talk about autism, masking, and neurodiversity, and how to help students if they feel overwhelmed. I had a special interest in stuffed animals from a young age. I experienced autistic burnout as a kid, and I kept that hidden from everyone, even my mom. I am educating myself about autism from all the books that I'm reading. One book that I got recently talks about how science has failed women and girls on the autism spectrum. I am advocating for people who are underserved, underrepresented, because autism can be diagnosed in girls and women. Our behaviors might be more subtle, but if people could see past the gender differences and have science focus on why do women and girls show more subtle signs of autism, I want to clear up one thing. Autistic girls can have autism and an intellectual disability. I found out last year when I got retested for autism that I have a mild intellectual disability. This is why I'm doing my podcast to tell people that autism isn't this one sided story, and you need to listen to all autistic voices because we're all important. As I said before, we need to look at the whole picture when it comes to autism. Women tend to mask their traits, and I can relate to this because I had to hide behind a mask for over 10 years. It can be exhausting to hide your true self. It's the message that many of us girls get from society early on in life. Now that people are becoming more accepting of autistic people, I am finding it hard to let myself unmask. all the time because I've been so used to hiding this part of me. Getting a late diagnosis of autism has made it hard for me to accept myself for who I am. I felt like I did not have the right support when I was in grade school, especially when it came to how the schools handled bullying. I felt alone and misunderstood when I tried to speak up for myself. I even got in trouble for someone kicking the backs of my boots because I tried to tell a teacher about it, but they told me to be quiet instead. I felt alone because nobody understood that I had autism, and they let the bullying continue until my senior year of high school. If teachers were educated about autism, I wouldn't have been bullied. I would have had friends instead of feeling lonely and feeling stressed out all the time. There were times where I did not want to go to school because I was scared of being bullied. If I had to be upset and angry with someone, it would be the staff at the middle school and high school that I graduated from because they should have done something other than me, signing a paper saying that no one is going to bully me. Everyone in this world needs to be educated about autism because more autistic people will get bullied before someone does something. Autistic people deserve love, respect, acceptance, and compassion. That concludes this week's episode of Lifelong Learners. Today, I talked about how science has failed women and girls on the autism spectrum from my own lived experience. Next week, I want to talk about autism and current events. I want to thank Alex, GCC, and all of my fans for helping me to get my autism story and for helping me to get the facts about autism out there. To find more episodes of Lifelong Learners, you can go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. Don't forget to go to YouTube and subscribe to my channel at Lifelong Learners Podcast. See you next week. Holly Tetreault.